The letter arrived on a Thursday morning. Just one envelope, slipped neatly into a bronze mailbox that had seen better days. Evelyn Carter almost didn't notice it. She was busy watering her porch flowers, daisies, hydrangeas, and a line of yellow marigolds that caught the sunlight just right. The little sign she'd placed beside them fluttered in the breeze. Be kind, grow together. To Evelyn, it wasn't just decoration. It was a tribute to her late husband, James, who believed that kindness could rebuild anything. It was his phrase, one he said every time the world grew heavy. But that morning, the world felt heavier than usual. The envelope was marked with 3 bold letters. HOA. Homeowners Association. Evelyn sighed. Nothing good ever came in those envelopes. She tore it open slowly, hands trembling slightly. The words hit her like a gust of cold wind. Your porch sign violates HOA Code 22A, prohibition of unauthorized signage. Remove immediately or face fines of $100 per day. Her heart sank. A porch sign? That tiny wooden plaque, hand-painted by her granddaughter? It wasn't political, vulgar, or loud. It was a message of unity. But somehow, in a neighborhood obsessed with uniformity, even kindness had become controversial. Evelyn folded the letter, staring across the quiet cul-de-sac of Maple Grove Estates, a place that used to feel like home. But over time, it had changed. More rules, more whispers, less heart. She thought of the irony. 10 years earlier, when the subdivision had been nothing but dirt lots and promise, she donated the land that became the community garden. The same garden everyone now bragged about on the HOA's website. That garden had her husband's name carved into the gate. Carter Community Garden, a place to grow. And yet now, they wanted to erase the little sign on her porch that carried his spirit. That evening, Evelyn called her daughter Dana. They want me to take it down, she said softly. The garden sign? Dana asked. No, the kindness sign. Dana was quiet for a moment. Mom, you're kidding. I wish I was. They sent me an official notice. Evelyn sighed. I'm too old for these fights. But Dana's voice turned sharp. No, Mom. You built that garden. You gave this community something beautiful. You don't let them take that away from you. Evelyn smiled sadly. Your father used to say the same thing. By the next morning, the story had already spread. Neighbors whispered as Evelyn tended to her plants. Some smiled awkwardly. Others avoided her gaze. Only one person, Miguel Alvarez, the retired teacher next door, dared to speak up. They're doing this to you, he asked, holding a cup of coffee. She nodded. They say the sign breaks the rules. He frowned. But they didn't complain about those political flags down the street. Evelyn shrugged. Different rules for different people, I guess. Miguel shook his head. That's not right. And that's how the quiet rebellion began. 2 days later, Evelyn attended the monthly HOA meeting, held in the clubhouse that stood right beside the garden she had donated. When she walked in, conversations paused. All eyes turned. At the front sat Marjorie Steele, the HOA president, a woman whose smile was as polished as her pearls. Mrs. Carter, Marjorie began, I understand you're here about a signage violation? Evelyn nodded, keeping her tone calm. I just want to understand why a sign that says be kind is a violation. Marjorie folded her hands. It's not personal. It's policy. We can't allow unauthorized signage. Otherwise, everyone would start displaying random messages. Like the Don't Tread on Me flag 2 doors down? Evelyn asked gently. The room went silent. Marjorie blinked, lips tightening. Well, that's different. That was approved years ago. Evelyn tilted her head. So kindness wasn't approved? A few neighbors chuckled quietly. Marjorie cleared her throat. It's simply about consistency, Mrs. Carter. You know how much we value harmony here. Evelyn's gaze softened but held firm. I know. That's why I gave you this clubhouse land for free, so this community could have harmony. Gasps rippled through the room. Marjorie's smile faltered. Excuse me. You heard me, Evelyn said. I donated this land. Check the deed. It's under the Carter Family Trust. My husband and I wanted this place to thrive. The air grew thick. A few neighbors looked down, embarrassed. I never wanted recognition, Evelyn continued. I just wanted people to have a space to grow things, together. But if kindness isn't part of that vision anymore, maybe we've lost more than flowers. She turned, leaving the room in silence. The next morning, Evelyn found a new notice taped to her door. Failure to comply will result in daily fines. But this time, there was something else beneath it, a folded piece of paper. She opened it slowly. Inside was a handwritten note. Mrs. Carter, thank you for what you've done for this neighborhood. Don't let them bully you. We stand with you. Lot 17, Lot 19, Lot 21. Evelyn smiled through tears. By the end of the week, 3 more notes appeared, then 5, then 12. Some neighbors began putting small signs of their own, tiny words of encouragement. Grow love. Be kind. Community over control. Marjorie and the HOA board panicked. They started issuing warnings to everyone. The community that once followed every rule was suddenly unified in quiet defiance, all sparked by one woman's wooden sign. Marjorie called for an emergency HOA session, claiming mass noncompliance. But this time, she wasn't facing just Evelyn. Half the neighborhood showed up, and so did a local news crew. Evelyn hadn't called them. Someone else had. When the meeting began, Marjorie tried to maintain control. This meeting will address the unauthorized signs. But Miguel stood up. No, this meeting will address you, Marjorie. You find a woman who gave you this very clubhouse. You embarrassed a widow who's done more for this neighborhood than all of us combined. Murmurs spread. The reporter raised an eyebrow. Evelyn stood quietly at the back. She didn't need to speak yet. Marjorie forced a laugh. That's a gross exaggeration. Then a voice came from the door. Actually, it's not. Everyone turned. It was Mayor Linda Brooks, the town's mayor, holding a folder in her hand. I came because I heard about this, the mayor said. And I wanted to remind you all that this clubhouse sits on land gifted by Mrs. Carter, with a legally binding clause that ensures public access and freedom of expression. Marjorie's face drained of color. In fact, the mayor continued, violating that clause could nullify the HOA's rights to manage the property. Gasps filled the room. Marjorie stammered. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm very serious, the mayor said. And as of now, I'm opening an investigation into discriminatory enforcement of HOA policies. The crowd erupted in applause. The next day, Evelyn woke to find her porch filled with flowers, gifts from neighbors, each with a note of gratitude. The HOA quietly withdrew all fines. Marjorie resigned a week later. But the story didn't end there. Local newspapers picked it up. Widow's Kindness sign sparks HOA reform in Maple Grove. Evelyn received letters from other communities. People inspired to stand up against unfair treatment. The HOA held a new vote, and for the first time, they elected Evelyn as honorary community advisor. Her first action? She proposed a new amendment. No rule shall prohibit positive, non-commercial messages promoting community, compassion, or inclusivity. It passed unanimously. Months later, Evelyn stood in the community garden she and James had built. Children played by the fountain. Neighbors chatted while planting sunflowers. She looked at the garden gate, freshly repainted. At the top, someone had added a small line beneath her husband's name, in honor of Evelyn Carter, who reminded us how to grow. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "We did it, James." As she turned to leave, Miguel waved from across the fence. "They're putting up new solar lights tonight," he called out. "Oh," she smiled. "What for?" "So the sign on your porch is always visible, even at night." The same little sign still stood by her steps, glowing softly under the light. Be kind, grow together. It had started as a message of love and ended as a movement, because in Maple Grove, one woman's quiet defiance became a reminder to everyone. Rules can keep lawns neat, but kindness keeps communities alive.